My sister wore my ring while I was at work and told everyone she's my boyfriend's fiancé. My sister Kelsey had been planning this identity theft since the day Jason proposed to me. She'd watched from the restaurant window as he got down on one knee at our anniversary dinner, her face pressed against the glass like some stalker in a bad movie. By the time we got home to share the news, she'd already started her campaign. I just think it's funny that Jordan gets engaged right when I'm up for promotion, she told our mother. Obviously, she's trying to steal my thunder. The promotion she was up for was shift supervisor at the accounting firm where she did data entry. But in Kelsey's mind, everything was a competition she was destined to win. 3 days after my engagement, Kelsey started wearing a ring to work. Not just any ring, but my actual engagement ring that she'd take from my jewelry box every morning after I left for my hospital shifts. She'd figured out my schedule perfectly. I left at 6 a.m. for rounds. She left at 8:30 for her office. 2.5 hours to be me. Her coworker Donna was the first to notice. Oh my God, is that an engagement ring? Kelsey held out her hand. My hand, really. Showing off my 2-carat cushion-cut diamond. Jason finally proposed. We've been keeping it quiet because his family is very private. Old money, you know? They own hotels. Jason's family owned exactly one thing. A pizza place his uncle ran. But Kelsey had constructed an entire mythology around my fiancé. She'd stolen our engagement photos from my phone while I slept and cropped me out, replacing my face with hers using some app. She showed these to everyone at her office. This is us in Aspen, she'd lie. This is us at his family's estate in the Hamptons. The Aspen photo was from our camping trip to Big Bear. The estate was Jason's parents' backyard in Riverside. Within a week, Kelsey had told her entire office about her wedding plans. She was having it at the Ritz-Carlton. She was flying in flowers from Holland. Her dress was being custom-made by someone who'd worked with royalty. She'd gotten all these details from the wedding magazines I'd bought, the ones where I'd circled budget options and written maybe someday in the margins. Every evening, she'd put my ring back in my jewelry box before I got home. I never suspected anything until Donna called our house asking for Kelsey to confirm catering choices. When I answered, she said, "Oh, Mrs. is soon-to-be Hutchins. Your voice sounds different." I told her she had the wrong number. No, Donna insisted. Kelsey gave me this number for wedding emergencies. She's marrying Jason Hutchins next spring. I'm her maid of honor. I hung up thinking it was a prank. But then our cousin Rita called. Hey, just saw Kelsey's announcement on her company newsletter. Weird that you both got engaged to guys named Jason at the same time. What are the odds? That night, I confronted Kelsey. She was sitting at her vanity, trying on my wedding earrings that I'd bought to match the ring. Those aren't yours? I said. Kelsey didn't even flinch. Besides, you can't prove they're yours. No receipt, no evidence. Just your word against mine. I grabbed for them, but she'd already locked them in her jewelry box, the one with a combination only she knew. The next day, she escalated. She brought Jason's photo to work, the one from my nightstand, and put it on her desk. She started signing emails as Kelsey Hutchins. She even called Jason's workplace pretending to be me, asking about adding her name to his insurance as his fiancé. Jason's boss was so confused he called Jason directly. Why is some woman claiming to be your fiancé? Her name's Kelsey something? Jason called me immediately. Your sister is insane. She's telling people we're engaged. I know. I'm handling it. But I wasn't handling it. I didn't know how. Kelsey had our mother convinced it was all a misunderstanding, that her coworkers had simply assumed she was engaged and she didn't correct them. Mom said I was being dramatic, that sisters share everything. The breaking point came when Kelsey scheduled an appointment at Tiffany's to get the ring cleaned. My ring, that she'd stolen that morning. She brought Donna and 2 other coworkers to witness her getting her engagement ring serviced. The Tiffany's associate Martin was all smiles. What a beautiful ring. Is this for cleaning? Kelsey preened. Yes, my fiancé bought it here last month. We're getting married at the Ritz. Martin's face shifted slightly. Oh, this is one of ours? Let me check our system. He scanned the ring with a special tool they use for authentication. His screen lit up with information. Kelsey leaned over the counter. Is everything okay? It's just such a valuable piece. I want to make sure it's properly documented. Martin nodded slowly. Of course. May I see the warranty card? It should have been in the blue box when purchased. Kelsey laughed nervously. The ring hadn't even been purchased at this store. The system showed 0 records matching the ring's serial number to any Jason Hutchins. Martin stepped back from the counter and gestured toward his manager's office. Kelsey's face went from confident to pale in seconds. She tried to laugh it off, but her voice came out shaky and wrong. Donna leaned forward and touched Kelsey's arm. Is everything okay? You look really pale. Martin kept his professional smile, but his eyes had changed. He knew something wasn't right. The manager appeared from the back office, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and perfect posture. Martin showed her his screen and they spoke in low voices while Kelsey stood there frozen. Her 2 other coworkers shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other with confused expressions. The manager approached the counter and smiled at Kelsey, but it wasn't a warm smile. We need to verify some information about this purchase. Do you have the original receipt or warranty documentation? Kelsey's hands started shaking. I don't carry those around with me. It's at home in a safe place. The manager nodded slowly. Of course. And when exactly did your fiancé purchase this ring? Last month. Right before he proposed. Which location did he purchase it from? Kelsey hesitated for just a second too long. This one. This location. The manager glanced at Martin, who shook his head slightly. Our records show no purchase matching this ring's specifications in the past 6 months. Kelsey's face turned red. Maybe it was a different Tiffany's. He travels a lot for work. Donna's phone rang and she stepped away to answer it. Kelsey watched her go with panic in her eyes. The manager maintained her calm professional demeanor. I understand. However, we do need to speak with the original purchaser to verify ownership before we can service this piece. Company policy for high-value items. Kelsey grabbed the ring off the counter. You know what? I'll just take it somewhere else. This is ridiculous. Martin moved slightly to block her path to the door. Ma'am, we need to complete our authentication process first. Kelsey's voice went up an octave. You can't keep me here. I have the right to leave. The manager held up her hand. Of course you do. But we also have a responsibility to verify that items brought to us for service aren't stolen property. I'm sure you understand. Donna came back inside looking confused and worried. She walked straight to Kelsey. That was your sister Jordan on the phone. She says she's on her way here right now and that you're wearing her engagement ring. The other 2 co-workers gasped. Kelsey's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Donna continued, her voice getting firmer. She said Jason proposed to her, not you. She has the receipt and the original box. Kelsey tried to grab Donna's arm. She's lying. She's jealous because I got engaged first. Donna pulled away. But you told us Jason proposed to you last month. Jordan said he proposed to her 2 months ago. Your timeline doesn't even make sense. The manager stepped forward. Perhaps we should all wait for this Jordan to arrive and sort this out properly. Kelsey looked at the door like she was considering making a run for it. Martin had positioned himself between her and the exit. The store suddenly felt very small and very quiet, except for the classical music playing from hidden speakers. Kelsey's breathing got faster and shallower. She kept looking at her co-workers who were staring at her with expressions ranging from confusion to dawning horror. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. I burst through the door of Tiffany's carrying my purse stuffed with evidence. The blue Tiffany box. The receipt with Jason's signature and the date from 2 months ago. My phone with the original unedited engagement photos showing me wearing the ring. Kelsey was sitting in a chair near the counter looking like she might throw up. Her co-workers stood in a cluster near the window. The manager approached me with a professional smile. Are you Jordan? I nodded and pulled out my receipt. This is my ring. My fiancé Jason bought it here 8 weeks ago. I have all the documentation. Martin took my receipt and scanned it into his system. His face cleared immediately. Yes, this matches our records perfectly. Purchase date, ring specifications, everything. He looked at Kelsey with barely concealed disgust. The manager examined my blue box and the photos on my phone. She compared the ring on Kelsey's finger to the photos of me wearing it at the restaurant during the proposal. Kelsey tried one last time. She let me borrow it for some photos. We were just playing around. Donna cut her off sharply. That makes 0 sense, Kelsey. You've been telling us for weeks that you're engaged to Jason. You showed us wedding venues. You asked me to be your maid of honor. You can't pretend this was just borrowing a ring for photos. The other 2 co-workers nodded in agreement. One of them looked close to tears. I can't believe you lied to us about everything. The manager's voice stayed calm but firm. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to return the ring to its rightful owner immediately. If you refuse, I'll have no choice but to contact security and the police. Kelsey's hands shook as she pulled the ring off her finger. She held it for a moment like she couldn't bear to let it go. Then she practically threw it at me. Fine. Take your stupid ring. This whole thing is blown way out of proportion. I caught the ring and slipped it back on my finger where it belonged. The manager turned to me. I apologize for this situation. We take authentication very seriously, and I'm glad we could help resolve this. Kelsey stood up fast enough that her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Her coworkers backed away from her. Donna's face showed a mix of anger and embarrassment. I trusted you. We all trusted you. You made us look like idiots. Kelsey's eyes filled with tears, but they looked more like angry tears than sad ones. Whatever. You're all overreacting. She tried to push past Martin, but he didn't budge. The manager spoke again. Before you leave, I need to document this incident for our records. Kelsey finally seemed to realize how much trouble she was in. She gave her information in a flat, monotone voice while the manager took notes. Her coworkers left first, walking out without saying goodbye to her. Donna paused at the door and looked back at me. I'm so sorry. If I'd known. I shook my head. It's not your fault. She's good at lying. After Donna left, Kelsey tried to leave too, but I blocked her path. We're not done. You stole my ring. You pretended to be engaged to my fiancé. You involved innocent people in your lies. Kelsey's face twisted. You always get everything. Perfect Jordan with her perfect life and her perfect engagement. I deserve to be happy too. The manager cleared her throat. Perhaps you should continue this conversation elsewhere. I nodded and stepped aside to let Kelsey leave. She practically ran out of the store. I stood there for a moment, just breathing and looking at my ring back on my finger where it belonged. Martin approached me quietly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Family situations are always the hardest. I thanked him and left the store. Outside in the parking lot, I sat in my car and called Jason. He answered on the first ring. Did you get the ring back? I did. It's over. But his voice got serious. Jordan, this isn't over. Your sister needs help and your family needs to stop enabling her. He was right. I drove straight to Kelsey's office building. The receptionist looked startled when I asked to speak with someone in human resources about employee conduct. She made a call, and 5 minutes later, a woman in her 40s appeared. I'm Cadence Harper from HR. How can I help you? I explained the whole situation in the private conference room she led me to. The identity theft, the stolen ring, the lies to coworkers, the fake engagement. Cadence took notes on a legal pad, and her expression got more serious with each detail. She asked for copies of my evidence, and I sent everything to her email right there. Photos, receipts, timeline, witness statements from Donna. Cadence reviewed everything carefully. This is certainly unusual. While this is primarily a personal family matter, your sister did use company time and resources to perpetuate these falsehoods. She involved coworkers as unwitting participants in her deception. That crosses into workplace conduct territory. I felt relief wash over me. Finally, someone in authority was taking this seriously instead of telling me to just forgive and forget because family. Cadence continued. We'll need to conduct an internal investigation. I'll be speaking with the coworkers who were involved and reviewing any company communications where your sister may have misrepresented herself. This could take a few days. I nodded. Thank you for listening. I know this sounds crazy. She gave me a sympathetic look. Unfortunately, workplace misconduct comes in many forms. This situation clearly caused harm to multiple people and created a hostile environment based on deception. We take that seriously here. I left the office feeling like maybe things were finally moving in the right direction. Jason met me at his boss Dominic's office that afternoon. Dominic was a big guy with kind eyes who'd always been good to Jason. He listened to our explanation about Kelsey's phone call trying to add herself to Jason's insurance. His eyebrows went up higher and higher as we talked. I thought that call was strange, but I wasn't sure how to handle it. The woman said she was your fiancé, Jordan, but something felt off about the whole conversation. Jason explained that it was actually his future sister-in-law pretending to be his fiancé. Dominic shook his head in disbelief. That's identity fraud. I'm happy to provide a written statement about that call if you need it for any investigations. We thanked him and left. That evening, Remington came over to my house with pizza and wine. She'd been my friend since nursing school and knew my family drama better than anyone. She listened to the whole Tiffany story with her mouth hanging open. Your sister is unhinged. This isn't normal sibling rivalry. This is calculated identity theft. We spread all my evidence across the dining room table and created a detailed timeline. Day 1 when Jason proposed. Day 3 when Kelsey started wearing my ring to work. Week 1 when she showed the fake photos. Week 2 when she called Jason's workplace. Week 3 when everything exploded at Tiffany's. Remington wrote down every witness, every piece of evidence, every instance of theft and impersonation. She organized it all into a document that looked professional and thorough. This shows clear escalation. She started small and kept pushing boundaries to see what she could get away with. I stared at the timeline and felt sick. My own sister had been systematically stealing my identity for almost a month. The next morning, I was getting ready for my hospital shift when someone pounded on my front door. I looked through the peephole and saw Kelsey standing there looking frantic. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. She pushed past me anyway. You have to call my office. You have to tell them this was all a misunderstanding. I crossed my arms. Number. Kelsey's voice got higher and more desperate. Cadence scheduled a formal meeting with me for this afternoon. I know you talked to HR. You're trying to get me fired. I stayed calm even though my heart was racing. I'm not trying to get you fired. I reported what you did because it was wrong and it involved your coworkers. You created this situation. Kelsey started crying, but they were angry tears. You always do this. You always make me look bad. You always have to be the victim. I thought about all the years of this pattern. Kelsey competing with me over everything. Kelsey twisting situations to make herself the hero and me the villain. Kelsey getting away with behavior that would get anyone else in serious trouble because mom always made excuses for her. I'm not covering for you anymore. You stole my ring. You impersonated me. You lied to everyone. Those are the facts and I'm not pretending they didn't happen. Kelsey's face went red. Fine. When I lose my job and can't pay my rent, that's on you. She stormed out and slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I stood there shaking for a few minutes before I grabbed my keys and headed to work. My shift was long and exhausting, but at least at the hospital I could focus on helping people instead of dealing with family drama. 2 hours after my shift ended, Mom called. I could hear the defensive tone before she even finished saying hello. Kelsey came over today crying about how you're trying to get her fired and destroy her life. She says you've always been jealous of her friends at work and now you're taking it too far. Sisters need to support each other, Jordan. Family is more important than whatever pride you're holding on to. I stopped her before she could launch into the usual speech about how I needed to be the bigger person. Mom, Kelsey committed identity theft. She stole my engagement ring every single morning for 3 weeks. She showed up at Tiffany's with my ring and lied to the staff. She called Jason's workplace pretending to be me and tried to add herself to his insurance. She impersonated me to dozens of people. If you can't see how serious that is, then you're part of the problem. The line went quiet. I counted to 10 in my head before Mom spoke again. Send me everything you have. All the evidence you mentioned. Her voice sounded different, uncertain instead of dismissive. I want to see the timeline and the receipts and everything else. I opened my laptop and attached the complete documentation file Remington had helped me create. The purchase receipt from the jewelry store, the screenshots of Kelsey's fake engagement photos, the written statement from Donna about the Tiffany's incident, the email from Dominic confirming the weird insurance call, the timeline showing how Kelsey's lies escalated over 3 weeks. I hit send and stared at my phone for another minute before Mom said she'd call me back after she reviewed everything. 2 days passed before Cadence called my cell. Jordan, this is Cadence Harper from Kelsey's HR department. I wanted to update you on our investigation. We've placed Kelsey on administrative suspension while we complete our review of the situation. Several of her coworkers came forward after the Tiffany's incident with additional concerns about instances where Kelsey exaggerated or misrepresented facts about her personal life. We're taking this very seriously because it reflects on our company's judgment and created a hostile work environment based on deception. She paused like she was choosing her words carefully. The investigation should be complete within a week. Thank you for providing such thorough documentation. It made our process much clearer. I thanked her and hung up feeling strange. Part of me felt relieved that someone in authority was taking this seriously. Part of me felt sick that my sister's lies had gotten so bad her own coworkers were reporting her. My phone started buzzing with text messages an hour later. Kelsey, you're destroying my career. Everyone at work thinks I'm a liar and a fraud because of you. You couldn't just let me have something good for once. You had to make everything about you and your perfect life. I can't believe you went to my HR department like some tattletale. We're sisters. We're supposed to protect each other. Another message came through before I could respond. This is a harmless joke that you blew completely out of proportion because you're jealous that my coworkers liked me and wanted to celebrate my engagement. You always do this. You always make me look bad. I screenshot every message and added them to my documentation folder. The messages showed she still didn't understand what she'd done wrong. In her mind, stealing my identity and my ring was just a joke that I'd overreacted to. Jason's parents invited us for dinner on Friday. His mom opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. I need to apologize to you, Jordan. When that woman called Jason's work asking about insurance, we should have realized something strange was happening. We've known Kelsey was competitive with you for years, but we never imagined she'd go this far. Jason's dad was grilling burgers in the backyard and made a joke about how at least now everyone knew the truth about which sister was actually joining their family. His mom smacked his arm, but she was smiling. We spent the evening talking about normal things like wedding plans and Jason's uncle's new pizza oven. It felt good to be around people who understood how serious the situation was without making me feel dramatic for being upset. Donna texted me the next morning asking if I wanted to meet for coffee. She picked a place near her office and was already sitting at a corner table when I arrived. I need to tell you how awful I feel about all of this. Several of us at work feel betrayed and foolish for believing such elaborate lies. She stirred her latte without looking at me. We all thought it was odd that Kelsey never invited us to meet her wealthy fiancé or see his family's supposed estate. She always had excuses about why Jason was too busy or why his family was so private. But we wanted to believe her because she seemed so happy and excited. Now we're angry at her but also embarrassed that we got pulled into her fantasy world. I told her it wasn't her fault. Kelsey had been lying to me our whole lives. She'd just gotten better at it over the years. Donna nodded and said most of Kelsey's coworkers weren't speaking to her anymore. The ones who went to Tiffany's felt especially stupid for participating in what turned out to be a theft. Mom called me on Sunday afternoon. Her voice sounded rough, like she'd been crying. I need to apologize for enabling Kelsey's behavior for so many years. I always made excuses for her because she seemed more fragile and needy than you. You were always so capable and independent. I thought Kelsey needed more support and protection. But now I see that actually made things worse. I created a situation where she thought she could get away with anything because I'd always defend her. Her voice cracked when she continued. I'm ashamed that my daughter felt the need to steal her sister's identity because she couldn't be happy with her own life. I don't know how to fix this or make it right. I told her I didn't have the answers either. All I knew was that I couldn't keep pretending Kelsey's behavior was normal or acceptable. Mom said she understood, and that she'd support whatever boundaries I needed to set. Cadence called me the following Tuesday with the investigation results. Jordan, I wanted to inform you that our workplace investigation has concluded. Kelsey violated multiple company policies, including misuse of work time, misrepresentation to colleagues, and conduct unbecoming of an employee. She's being terminated effective immediately, and will not be eligible for rehire at our company. I felt a complicated mix of relief and sadness wash over me. My sister had just lost her job because she couldn't stop competing with me, because she'd built an entire fake life instead of being happy with her real one. Cadence thanked me again for my cooperation, and said they were reviewing their policies to prevent similar situations in the future. Mom called me a week later to tell me Kelsey had moved out. She found a small apartment across town. I think she's too humiliated to face family regularly right now. But she did start seeing a therapist. She's working on her issues with jealousy and self-worth. I told Mom I was glad Kelsey was getting help. but I wasn't ready to have contact with her yet. Maybe not for a long time. I needed space to process everything that had happened and figure out how to move forward. Jason and I sat on the couch that night looking at our calendar. We'd been planning a wedding for next spring, but suddenly that felt too far away. Too much waiting and worrying about what Kelsey might do next. Let's move it up. Let's have a small ceremony with just the people who actually support us. Jason squeezed my hand and pulled out his phone to start looking at venues. Planning our real wedding without the shadow of Kelsey's lies felt liberating and joyful. We were done letting her chaos control our happiness. Remington met me at the bridal boutique on Saturday morning with 2 coffees and her usual blunt honesty. She walked straight past the elaborate gowns with cathedral trains and pointed at a simple A-line dress with lace sleeves. That one. It's elegant without being over the top. Plus, your sister definitely can't steal it since she's not getting an invite. We both laughed, but I felt something twist in my chest. I never thought I'd plan my wedding without Kelsey there. Growing up, we'd always talked about being each other's maid of honor someday. But that was before she decided my life was more interesting than her own. The sales associate helped me into the dress, and when I looked in the mirror, I saw myself clearly for the first time in months. Not the person Kelsey wanted to be. Just me. Remington wiped her eyes and told me I looked perfect. I bought the dress that day and felt lighter walking out of the store. 3 months passed with no contact from Kelsey. Jason and I focused on our small ceremony plans, while Mom occasionally mentioned that Kelsey was doing better in therapy. Then Mom called on a Tuesday evening asking if I'd consider meeting with Kelsey's therapist to talk about family stuff. The therapist thinks it would help everyone if we could discuss boundaries and what happened. I told Mom I'd go to one session, but I wasn't promising anything beyond that. The therapy office was in a bland medical building with beige walls and motivational posters. Mom sat on one side of the room while Kelsey sat on the other, looking smaller than I remembered. The therapist explained that Kelsey had been working hard to understand her behavior patterns and wanted to take accountability. Kelsey pulled out a folded paper and started reading in a shaky voice. She apologized for stealing my identity and my ring and causing me so much pain. Her therapist jumped in to explain that Kelsey had been diagnosed with narcissistic personality traits and was learning healthier ways to build self-esteem. I listened to all of it and felt mostly numb. When they finished, I told Kelsey I was accepted her apology, but trust doesn't rebuild in a few months. It takes years of consistent changed behavior. I needed space to heal, and she needed to respect that. Kelsey nodded and wiped her face. 4 months later, Jason and I got married in a garden ceremony with 40 guests who actually cared about us. Mom came and followed every boundary I set, including not bringing up Kelsey once. Jason's uncle catered with pizza from the family restaurant. Remington gave a funny toast about how she knew we'd last because we survived identity theft together. When Jason and I danced our first dance as husband and wife, I realized something important. Protecting my peace wasn't selfish. Refusing to enable toxic behavior wasn't mean. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the permission to walk away from people who hurt you even when they're family. The evening ended with sparklers and laughter, and the knowledge that I'd chosen myself for once.